Merci beaucoup tout le monde d'être venu. Quel bel endroit. Et on en a besoin. Parce qu'après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, tout est brisé. Surtout à Vancouver. On est ici à Vancouver, où l'un des plus beaux endroits à travers le monde. Mais les gens sont en souffrance. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau et l'NPD, le coût de logement a doublé. Le loyer a doublé, les paiements hypothécaires ont doublé, les premiers versements ont doublé. En fait, ça prend 97% de votre chèque de paie mensuel pour payer une hypothèque mensuelle ici à Vancouver, ce qui est mathématiquement impossible. On pense que peut-être les gens vont devoir vivre dans les tentes. Et en fait, on voit des tentes à travers le pays. Avant Justin Trudeau, les gens ne vivaient pas dans les tentes, ils vivaient dans les appartements et des maisons. Avant Justin Trudeau, les gens pouvaient acheter une maison dans leur vingtaine. Maintenant, c'est impossible, surtout ici à Vancouver. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, le coût de nourriture a augmenté plus rapidement que dans 40 ans. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, le coût de l'essence ici à Vancouver, en partie en conséquence de la taxe carbone, est plus élevé que dans tous les autres endroits à travers l'Amérique du Nord. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, la criminalité, le chaos, le désordre et les drogues sont communes à travers le pays. Je viens de visiter Kelowna, là où il y a 10 000 actes de crime. 10 000 actes de crime pour chaque 100 000 personnes. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, tout est brisé. Et que fait les néo-démocrates? Les néo-démocrates ont vendu leurs principes pour le pouvoir. Ils ont accepté une coalition coûteuse avec Justin Trudeau. Ils travaillent maintenant pour les libéraux et non pas pour les gens de la Colombie-Britannique ou pour la classe ouvrière à travers le pays. Mais ce qui nous donne de l'espoir, le Canada n'était pas comme ça avant Justin Trudeau et les néo-démocrates, et ça ne va pas être comme ça après. Le Parti conservateur de Pierre Poilievre, guidé par le gros bon sens, va rebâtir notre pays. On va ramener des prix plus bas en éliminant la taxe carbone, qui est appuyée par le Bloc québécois, le Bloc qui veut radicalement augmenter cette taxe-là. On va éliminer les déficits inflationnistes pour réduire le coût de la vie et les taux d'intérêt. On va ramener des chèques de paie plus forts avec une réduction d'impôts pour que les gens ramènent davantage de leur chèque de paie chez eux. On va ramener des maisons abordables pour que chaque Canadien puisse en acheter une. Je ne sais pas si c'est pas même pas... Can you guys even hear me? You can? All right. I arranged to fly over here today. Après, on va s'assurer d'éliminer la bureaucratie pour bâtir davantage de maisons. L'hôtel de ville à Montréal a empêché la construction de 24 000 maisons. C'est un exemple des gouvernements locaux qui empêchent la construction. Moi, je vais inciter des municipalités à en bâtir davantage. Je vais lier les dollars de l'infrastructure fédéraux pour les municipalités au nombre de maisons complétées. Je vais exiger une augmentation de 15% par année de maisons construites comme condition pour des fonds de l'infrastructure fédéraux. Ceux qui vont au-delà de ce cible vont avoir une bonus. Ceux qui échouent d'atteindre ces objectifs auront une pénalité. Donc, on va inciter l'élimination de la bureaucratie. On va vendre 6 000 édifices du gouvernement fédéral et des milliers d'acres de terrain fédéral pour bâtir, bâtir et bâtir. Et on va mettre des vrais criminels récidivistes en prison. On va bannir le crack, l'héroïne et d'autres drogues et donner le traitement pour amener nos gens chez eux sans drogue. On va rétablir notre liberté, on va unir le pays. C'est ça le gros bon sens. Après 8 ans, Justin Trudeau et le Bloc québécois n'en vaut pas le coup. Mais avec le gros bon sens, on peut rebâtir le Canada. On va ramener des chèques de paie, ramener des prix plus bas, ramener des maisons abordables et ramener des rues sécuritaires. Merci beaucoup. And now in English. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything is broken in British Columbia and across Canada. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, housing costs have doubled. The rent has doubled, mortgage payments have doubled, and down payments have doubled. You know, it might seem like a small thing, but a lot of people rely on their pets for company and friendship, people who are lonely. Today we have a heartbreaking story that here in BC, humane societies are overrun with pets that are being turned in from people who have lost their homes. People show up and say that they're moving out of their apartment after 8 years of Trudeau to move into their van and live in a parking lot so they can no longer take care of their animal, and they have to live all alone, in danger, in a parking lot somewhere, forgotten by everyone. This is life after 8 years of Justin Trudeau and the NDP. After 8 years of Trudeau, food prices are rising faster than at any time in 40 years. After 8 years of Trudeau and the NDP, crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder are rampant in our streets. After 8 years of Trudeau, he divides to distract from all that he broke. And after 8 years of Trudeau, we cede our energy market to dictators and terrorists. Today we learned that the Supreme Court of Canada has found Justin Trudeau's No New Pipeline anti-resource law unconstitutional. Yes, Justin Trudeau, with the help of the NDP, has violated the constitutional rights of Canadians to develop their own natural resources. He has blocked natural gas liquefaction facilities. He has blocked lithium, cobalt, and other mines. He has prevented Canadians from producing resources and bringing home powerful paychecks. He's done it all to appeal to a radical NDP agenda that wants to leave all of our resources in the ground and all the money in the pockets of dictators. Just yesterday, we learned that after Trudeau said that there was no case for LNG liquefaction facilities, the government of Qatar signed a deal with France to sell 3.5 million tons of natural gas every year. Money that can come to Canadians. We have 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas right beneath our feet, yet we don't export a single cubic foot overseas because Trudeau blocked all 18 liquefaction facilities. What does this mean? Well, Qatar gets the money and we don't. And what does Qatar do with its money? They fund Hamas. Qatar is one of the lead sponsors of Hamas violence. So I want the money to go to welders and pipe fitters in British Columbia and in Newfoundland and Labrador. Justin Trudeau has that money going to Hamas. Good news is that the Supreme Court has found Justin Trudeau and the NDP broke the Constitution and violated our rights with their anti-development law, Bill C-69. A Poilievre government will repeal this law entirely and replace it with one that consults First Nations, protects our pristine environment, but gets jobs approved so that we can bring home beautiful, powerful paychecks to this country. Let's bring it home. That's common sense. We're going to restore common sense across the board. We're going to bring home lower prices by capping spending and cutting waste to balance the budget and bring down interest rates and inflation. We will axe the tax that the NDP and Liberals have imposed, a tax they want to raise to 61 cents a litre to bring down gas, heat, and grocery bills. We'll bring home powerful paychecks with lower income taxes that reward hard work. We will bring home paychecks for our brilliant immigrants with a Blue Seal exam that allows our newcomer professionals to take a test, prove they're qualified, and get to work helping reduce wait times in our hospitals as doctors, nurses, and other professionals. We will bring homes you can afford by getting the local bureaucracies out of the way. Here in Vancouver, City Hall adds $1.3 million to the cost of every new home with fees, delays, charges, consultants, bureaucracy, and zoning confusion. I will say to the City of Vancouver and every single municipality, the federal money will depend on homes getting built. I'll require every city in Canada boost home building by 15% per year or lose federal infrastructure money. Those that beat the target will get a building bonus. Those that fall short will get fined. We're going to sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build. Finally, we're going to build those homes in safe neighborhoods. Crime and chaos, drugs and disorder reign in Vancouver streets after 8 years of Justin Trudeau and the NDP. After 8 years of NDP Liberal policies, drug overdoses have hit 30,000. They're up 300% in BC. After 8 years of Trudeau and the NDP, violent crime up 40%. We know why. They released the most violent criminals. 40 criminals in Vancouver were arrested 6,000 times, but obviously they were released early because of the catch and release bail law C-75, supported by Justin Trudeau and the NDP that wants to go even further with a radical agenda to turn loose criminals everywhere on our streets. Then they've got this crazy drug plan to decriminalize crack, heroin, and other hard drugs and hand out tax-funded opioids. This has resulted in 30,000 deaths. You know, Justin Trudeau came to the downtown east side of Vancouver, which was a tent city, and he said, let's take this nationwide. And he did. Now we have tent cities all over the place. I was just in Kelowna, which has the highest crime rate in Canada. 10,000 crimes for every 100,000 people. That's one crime for every 10 people in Kelowna. Look at the beautiful rail trail. We spent a fortune building this trail so that people could hike and bike and enjoy it. And now it's a tent city that goes probably 1 kilometer long. Driving through it, you have to remind yourself that you're not in a third world country. You're in Canada. But that is life after 8 years of Trudeau and the NDP. The common sense conservative plan, jail not bail for repeat violent offenders by repealing C-75. We're going to stop giving out and legalizing heroin, crack, and other drugs and instead provide treatment so that we can bring our loved ones home drug-free. And instead of banning hunting rifles and harassing licensed law-abiding sport shooters, we're going to put the money into reinforcing our border to keep illegal firearms out of the United States. This is common sense, my friends. The good news is Canada wasn't a miserable, overpriced, crime-ridden place before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be that after he's gone. We're going to turn the hurt that he and the NDP have caused into the hope that Canadians need. They are not worth the Liberals and NDP are not worth the cost. Common sense conservatives will bring home the Canada we know and love. Thank you very much, and let's bring it home.
We'll now have time for questions from the floor. One question, one follow-up.
Oh, hi, morning. I'm Nono from the Canadian Press. I have a question. Your deputy leader, Melissa Landsman, referred to a weekend counter-protest at Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto as a protest in support of Hamas, which Canada has listed as a terrorist organization. And she says there is no place for such protests in Canada, and that she would like to see the police enforcement on this. I wonder, do you agree with her, and how would that work? Thank you.
I think all of us were outraged to see celebrations of the evil, sadistic terrorist attacks on Israeli civilians. Common sense conservatives understand that Hamas is a vicious, criminal, terrorist organization, and we must do everything we can to defeat that terrorism and protect Canadians here at home and across the world. And now I should also point out that Hamas has called for a global campaign of terror. I'm encouraged to hear that police across Canada are working to protect the Jewish community against potential terrorist attacks here at home. I am encouraged to hear that there is a strong police presence at Jewish schools, Jewish community centers, and at synagogues. I hope that all police and security forces will be ready and on guard to protect and prevent against terrorist attacks here in Canada. We have to expect the unexpected, and that is why Conservatives call for all three levels of government to do everything in their power to prevent a terrorist attack here on Canadian soil. Thank you.
Okay, follow-up question.
Like what you said about the protest, and we are all aware that the France has already imposed a ban on these kind of protests. And do you think Canada should follow the same footsteps? We should do the same.
We, as Conservatives, believe in freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of association. People are free to state their own opinions, even opinions that I find abhorrent. That said, I'm free to state my opinion, which is that Hamas is a sadistic, terrorist death cult, and it must be defeated. And I find it abhorrent that anyone in Canada or anywhere else would show their support for Hamas. I will add, though, it is already a criminal offense to provide material support to a listed terrorist entity. That includes Hamas. So if anybody is found to provide, that's, whether it's a donation or recruitment or coordination or any other material support to Hamas, then the police must enforce the anti-terror laws and arrest them for that criminal code offense. Thank you.
Okay, next question.
Hi, thank you. Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News. In the last 4 years, Canada has committed $90 million worth of support to UNRWA Aid, an organization that in the past has been linked to Hamas terrorists' use to store missiles and other weapons intended to harm Israeli people in UNRWA schools and hospitals. On Tuesday, the Government of Canada announced it will be continuing with millions of dollars of funds and aid, claiming they will ensure none of that will go to aiding Hamas. If your party is to form government, will you commit to ending funds to the Hamas-linked UNRWA organization?
We will end all foreign aid to terrorists, dictators, and wasteful multinational bureaucracies. One of my first actions as Prime Minister will be to carry out a full review of every dollar we send out of this country to make sure that we stop giving money to terrorists, dictators, and useless Marxist international bureaucracies. That will be at the top of my foreign policy list. We're going to bring our money home to Canada and take care of our people in this country.
Okay, follow-up, please. And this will be the final question.
I have another question about the pro-Hamas protests that have been taking place. We've been seeing them across the nation pop up, including in Vancouver, and as you mentioned about the Day of Rage that's planned for today, we also see that more are scheduled, including in Vancouver, with little to no consequence for organizers or attendees. In contrast, as you well know, when everyday Canadians gathered in front of our Parliament to oppose things like vaccine mandates in the Freedom Convoy, the Emergencies Act was invoked to crush their protest as well as to freeze bank accounts, etc. If your party forms government, what will it do to ensure that such an egregious double standard doesn't take place for who has the right to protest in our country?
That's a very good question, an excellent question, in fact. Justin Trudeau's and the NDP's imposition of the Emergencies Act to crush the civil liberties of Canadian citizens was one of the most despicable acts we've seen under his government. I will ensure that never happens again. I will protect people's freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom of expression. We will make Canada the freest country in the world. And at the same time, I will exercise my freedom to condemn anyone who celebrates the murder of little babies, of grandmothers, the rape of mothers that has unfolded in the Middle East because of the evil of Hamas. No Canadian should stand with an evil, sadistic, terrorist death cult like Hamas. People are free to have their own opinions, but I'm free to condemn those opinions as a citizen myself. And we also know that under the law, Hamas is a terrorist enterprise. It's criminal to provide material support to Hamas. So I want to make sure the police enforce the law by investigating and charging anyone who provides money, organization, or other support to help Hamas carry out terrorist attacks against civilians or anyone else. Thank you.